Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Slamhub Wrestling. Myself, Suprit, and this is your NXT review for June 8th, 2021. I'm joined by Spandan here. What's up, Spandan?
I'm all good, Suprit. It was an important show before In Your House, the takeover in your house this Sunday. So disappointed again. I wasn't really happy with the show, but you know what they say. If it's a disappointing show, then the review is going to be entertaining. So I'm ready.
So, what does this week's NXT, change your, hype level for takeover in your house?
Hmm. So in general, it increased my hype for only one match, which is the NXT Championship, which didn't really need the hype because it itself has five of the best superstars of NXT. I'm already hyped up for it. So that match gave me the hype, but apart from that, I'm not excited for NXT Takeover in your house at all. After leaving that match, I don't see it being a good pay-per-view because NXT Takeover delivers. I think I can probably say 97% of the times. It's never a bad show. So this time maybe it could change, but when we get to the show, maybe the matches rule the show. We saw with Stand and Deliver. Night one wasn't expected to be so good, but it probably overshadowed night two. So that all can happen. Let's see what the match quality is, but the hype, not so much.
But yeah, it has been, you could say NXT in general for the last year, Pandemic has hit them hard, no fans, no energy. I think things are, coming back to normal, You could hear the fans a little louder, no more, CWC bullshit, And by July, you could expect to go back to normalcy, maybe go back to a packed full sale or a performance center, you could say.
Yeah, they're planning to bring the maximum of 400 fans into the Full Sail University. So they are looking forward to bringing fans, and NXT has Triple H. I don't believe that it's like Monday Night Raw, that it has a span of 2 to 3 months of bad booking and then it's going to continue for a year. It's NXT. If it becomes bad, it will get better. I have that belief in Triple H and William Regal in the production. They will get better. And after Takeover, I think when the fans return, it will slowly be better because there's no problem in the champions or the matches or anything. It's the proper booking. That's the issue. That's always been the issue, to be honest. If you look at stories of WWE, then the stories have to be booked well. The superstars can't go over the top and do everything. So the match quality is always good on NXT, I feel. So stories have to be better, booking has to be better, but I have the feeling that it will get better.
But let's talk about this week's NXT, man. So the two things that were, and we had some of the matches, but yeah, they were just there. But some of the highlights were, the $1 million announcement from Teddy Biasi, and they also, were throughout the show, what you could say, promoting, the return of Poppy. But yeah, we will talk about in the entire stuff. But before that, if you are new to Slam Up Wrestling, then make sure to hit that like button. Also, make sure to subscribe, share, do all that fun stuff. Check out our previous content like the AEW Dynamite review and the main roster talk. Everything you need will be in the description below. But let's start from the top, man. So they kicked off this week's show with Oney Lorcan versus Austin Theory. So Spandan, can you give us some backstory on how we get to this point? How did we get to this point?
So last week we had that triple threat with Pete Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, and we had Johnny Gargano. So after that match, we had a backstage segment where only two of the superstars were injured, and it was portrayed to us that Kyle O'Reilly is fine. Only Pete Dunne is injured and Johnny Gargano. So obviously Austin Theory tries to defend Johnny Gargano that if it wasn't for Cole, then he would have been the winner. Same for Oney Lorcan, who was defending Pete Dunne. And I think we didn't talk about this on the review, but after the review, you and I were talking about this. And I already said that this match was going to happen. It's pretty obvious that they're going to book it. So they did, and it over delivered. It was too damn good for me. And I loved the match. Let's talk about it now.
And by the way, it was kind of a showcase of Austin Theory. Like ever since he joined the way, he hasn't been showcased a lot in that singles role, and he really outshined here tonight.
Absolutely, it was a phenomenal match, and this goofy character of Austin Theory, I love it because he's also doing it on social media. So the kayfabe is remaining. It's not like Alexa Bliss, who's portraying a stupid lady on camera, and then she's extremely normal on Instagram, posting pictures with no filter and all of that. That just destroys the entire scenario. But you have Ridwan for that. Let me talk about NXT. So for NXT, the thing is, Austin Theory has this great character which had to come out, and finally it has. In this particular match, I wouldn't say that Oney Lorcan didn't perform well. He had to carry Austin Theory as well. It's all about two superstars doing it. One cannot. So Austin Theory, speaking about him, he did so well. This match was so good to kick off NXT. Obviously, it disappointed me the entire show, but the way they started, I felt like it was going to be a great show. The match itself was filled with amazing spots. That modified Spanish fly that they did off the top rope. Vic Joseph couldn't even announce that. He didn't know what that's called. So that was an amazing spot. And overall, the match was fantastic. And Austin Theory was portrayed in a really good way. No pun intended. But I think it's going to be an amazing future for him as a single star.
And by the way, Austin Theory was getting a kind of babyface reaction.
Yeah, Austin Theory, I don't think he has a heel or a face character because if you look at the way, we don't yet feel very hateful towards them. We don't see them as serious heels. They do comedy stuff and all of that. They're funny characters. They're not heels or faces. So, looking at that side, Oney Lorcan is a proper heel. So maybe for that reason, Austin Theory wanted to, portray a face character.
And yeah, so what happened was we saw the involvement of their, fellow mates. We had Johnny Gargano coming out there. We had Pete Dunne coming out there. We saw some interaction between Gargano and Pete Dunne. They are in the Fatal 5-Way match at the Takeover pay-per-view. So what happened was mid-match, the Gargano and Pete Dunne had somewhat of a brawl. And by the way, did you see this brawl from Johnny Gargano? I think you've seen it in the internet. That Johnny Gargano, you could call that guy Johnny Wrestling, but man, you can't call him Johnny Punching. Like, did you see the punch that was being thrown around by Mr. Johnny Wrestling?
I did. The moment you said internet, I was like, okay, what was bad in that scenario? Okay, the punches. I got it. So Johnny Gargano, he's Johnny Wrestling and all of that. I'm fine with it. He's a good wrestler in the ring. But those punches, man, and you cannot blame the cameraman here. Where do you want him to record from? From the back. He will record from the obvious position that is the front. He wants all the security guards to be there on camera, that they're stopping them. He wants the superstars, and the punches were not even this close. They were like this. He was hitting them here, not even a finger touching Pete Dunne's head. So terrible. And I don't blame the cameraman. It's Johnny Gargano's fault, and Pete Dunne cannot put his head in front to take the punch so much. So totally Gargano's fault. And the match was really good, as I already said, but the interference that wasn't needed, I feel. If you have a grand face-off as the main attraction of the show, which is ending the show finally, then you do not want the superstars to already be on camera. You want them to be at the end so that it feels even more grander, right? So I didn't feel the importance of having those two. The match itself was amazing. Why do you need those interferences? So yeah.
Yeah, I think this is not for takeover. I think this is beyond takeover. It could lead to this two teams, you could say, maybe facing off, maybe feuding off post takeover in your house. And I talked about the idea of Gargano and Theory coming into the tag team division. So yeah.
It could happen. Actually, these factions, all of them could enter the tag team division. You have Pete Dunne and Oney Lorcan. You have Hitro, who has a female superstar who will obviously go after the women's championship. You have the two, Top Dollar and Adonis, who are the tag team. And the singles main attraction is Scott. We'll obviously talk about that. So they can become a tag team. You have Lorcan and Pete Dunne. You have the Way. All these could enter the tag team division, but it's already too full for NXT. The men's tag team division is extremely full. They don't need it right now. Let them have a non-title tag team feud. That would be interesting to see. So in that sense, I would love to see them fight in a team. And God, please bring Bobby Fish back. Where is he? He had that one match and he's gone.
And by the way, they did kind of mention the stuff that happened with him, 2 weeks ago, I guess, where, we had Pete Dunne and Oney Lorcan attacking him, going after the injured arm. They gave him a small video package on this week's show. So that's something, you could bring back in the future in the coming weeks.
Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly versus Pete Dunne and Oney Lorcan was the match I proposed for NXT Takeover in Your House, which would have been a blockbuster. But obviously, they want Kyle. As I also said at that time while proposing this match, that Kyle O'Reilly might not do this because he's just been built as a single star and he might go after the NXT Championship. In fact, both of us was thinking that Kyle O'Reilly was going to be the winner of that triple threat and face Cross one-on-one. So let's see what happens. Bobby Fish got that video package, yeah, but you want him in ring. You don't want him doing these video packages, backstage segments. I want him in ring action because he's a good technical wrestler. In fact, great. So I hope he's back in the ring very, very soon. Hopefully next week.
See, we are discussing, I think this is just one storyline regarding, the tag team scene, and it is already giving away, the result for the Fatal 5.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
But let's move on, man. So we had, I think it was Legado, sorry, who was that? Santos Escobar came out next, right?
We had a, segment from Dok Hendrix, Michael Hayes.
Yeah, he was kind of promoting the whole card for Takeover in your house, right?
Yeah, for the first time it was interesting because he told us the 4 matches that was announced the previous week. But then Old Man came again and announced the 4 matches he already announced again. And then the one match that was added to the card. So just some fun stuff. But yeah, so nothing extra here.
So did that follow the Santos Escobar segment then?
It did, but we also had something really interesting in the middle, which was LA Knight and Cameron Grimes showing us how rich they are, which was a really fun segment. And LA Knight, both of them are really funny, and it's a hilarious storyline that's going on. I am so entertained by it. So I'm really happy that the match has become whatever it has become. We'll talk about it. But after that, we were followed by Legado del Fantasma.
So we had Santos Escobar. So he was on the mic. So I think it was last week, right, when we had Legado facing for the tag titles against MSK, right?
Yeah, we had it last week.
So that's when we had, Escobar trying to help his teammate to get the titles. But here comes, Bronson Reed for the save. You could say technically a save. So Escobar was talking about that, and here comes Bronson Reed. So they were basically making fun of Escobar here, showing multiple times how Bronson Reed squashed or squished him last week. So that's the theme here. Here comes MSK, here comes Bronson Reed, continuously trying to make fun of Escobar. So this all led to a situation where I think it was Escobar saying that they are proposing a 6-man, where both the titles, where you could see the tag titles and the North American titles getting defended. So it was made official. So yeah, man, we were proposing last week that it could be a last-minute decision for the tag title match, who could be the challengers for the titles at Takeover, but they are going the different direction. And what do you think about it? Is it somewhat of a lazy booking? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I was going to use those 2 words, lazy booking. So when I said I was disappointed with the show, now that I start talking about it, we start reviewing the show, it's striking me hard how bad the show was. So last week I complained about this, that your secondary champion, your second major champion is Bronson Reed, and he came on the show at the last for 2 minutes last week, right? So I wanted to see him. He's just won the title. It's been 3 weeks. I want to see him on the show. This week, as I said last week, he's not been booked greatly as champion. I want a singles match, man. Come on, Bronson Reed and Santos Escobar, and 6 matches can obviously fit in a takeover card. You don't need to have less matches. Give them proper time. NXT takeovers are better than pay-per-views. We have heard this a lot of times. Their matches deliver. So this six-man tag, it's really lazy booking. You have a faction who's just fought with these superstars, which is a heel. You have three face champions, to be honest, the tag team champions and the North American champion. Okay, we have 6 people. Boom, six-man tag. Why? Give them separate matches. Legado del Fantasma versus MSK was such a good match. We discussed it last week. Give them another try at Takeover, and then Santos Escobar and Bronson Reed can pull out a classic singles match. So that would have been great. But again, we talked about this several times in the past 3 weeks, that it's been a really quick booking for Takeover in your house. And this shouldn't have been, because they had 4 proper weeks. You have 4 episodes, which is 8 hours of content to deliver, and you can easily book a very good card. The simplest match, Mercedes Martinez and Xia Lee, which is going to happen, that has a good build up. That has story. That has a good build up. This match doesn't. It was random. Reed squashed, Santos Escobar, and someone is learning from Bailey laughing at Bianca on Thunderdome screens. So you copied that NXT. So yeah, lazy booking, poor booking, and hopefully it doesn't happen again, because I haven't seen this kind of NXT in a lot of, since a lot of years. You've just randomly put a six-man tag title match. When did this happen for the last time? It hasn't happened. You give respect to the champions, you give them respective matches. So poor booking, but hopefully after Takeover in your house, this is all over, because we aren't crowning new champions in this match.
And like I said last week, you could have saved if you wanted to do MSK versus Legado, then you could have did it at the pay-per-view. Why do it just 2 weeks before the pay-per-view?
Yeah, I don't have a problem in a second match, because if it's a good match, why wouldn't I want to see it at Takeover? If you would have put this Oney, Lorcan and Austin Theory match on a Takeover for the first time, then I wouldn't have been hyped for it. But after watching it, if it was the first match on Takeover, I would be like, come on, give me in your house Takeover. It's going to be amazing, because this match has been incredible. So that would have been my reaction. So even if it's the second match, obviously the first match would have been better if you put them for the first time at Takeover. But second time is also not an issue. So this six-man tag is useless. It's highly predictable. And imagine if you would have put this in separate matches, as I said, there would have been intrigue. You still would have thought maybe Legado del Fantasma is going to win the title, tag team titles. Maybe Santos Escobar could win the North American Championships. But now that you put them in a six-man tag, there's absolutely no chance that the titles are changing hands.
And by the way, we also talked about it last week, that it's not a really good decision. Santos Escobar was just on, made his transition from a cruiserweight, you could say, to a heavyweight. And yeah, he does deserve, to go after the North American title, but they kind of rushed it. They could have done this in a very organic way.
They totally rushed it. I agree. And the transition happened really quickly. It was like he lost the cruiserweight title 1 week, next week he doesn't care about it. You were fighting with Jordan Devlin in a ladder match to prove that you're the true cruiserweight champion. You should have at least cared about it. Give me 1 week of only a big promo by Santos Escobar claiming how he lost the title, how he's angry about it, but he wants to move on to bigger things. And he doesn't move on to the bigger thing that exact week. So he's sad and all of that. Next week he begins his journey. At least give him 1 week. This quickly he moves on, and it's that also kind of brings down the legitimacy of the cruiserweight championship. It's like, okay, I just lost it. It doesn't matter. So that's not it. So the transition was too damn quick, and as you said, it was rushed. It was.
And so we had the match announcement here. So this we would see Hit Row making their entrance. So they had a little interaction with the babyface team. So this could be, teasing something, that the Hitro faction could be going after some championships. And the obvious one could be Isaiah Scott. So he could have, a future North American title match. So he kind of mentioned that when the Hitro faction came about.
Yeah. First week when Hitro was happening, it was Scott who said that he's going to take a close look at Gargano and Bronson Reed's match for the NXT North American Championship. But next week, he also said the NXT Championship match between Balor and Cross. So what he made clear was he's not aiming at one championship. He's just aiming at championships. He just wants to win a title, not a specific one. So he also has the cruiserweight champion Kushida. He, I think, fits into the category of 205 pounds. So he does fit in there. He can win that title as well. So he hasn't mentioned a specific title yet, and he hasn't made it clear. But Hydro, I think, is a phenomenal faction on NXT. They've just built it so well, and their theme song, Now You Know, it's also good. I've heard it on Spotify. It's amazing. So they've built them well. I hope see them winning championships in the future and the very near future. And I have a question for you. Do you see this faction, participating in war games next year? Because it's kind of obvious for me.
I think they are a faction, so NXT is kind of going into a multiple faction route now. Possibly.
Yeah, because we've seen war games happen in men's division and women's division. Never a mixed war games because they have BFAB, who's a female athlete, in with three men. So I would love to see that scenario happening. Since it's a four people faction, it's kind of obvious that they're obviously continuing war games every single year. They're not skipping it. So it could happen again, but that was just a random question. We can move on.
So we were followed by Isaiah Scott versus Killian Dane. So I think this match came about when the Hitro faction was kind of, bullying, or you could say, Drake Maverick. So we had Dane versus Scott. We would see some I would say, what was I saying? The involvement of the faction members. So this would lead to them costing Dane the match here. Scott won with a running kick, you could say. So yeah, they are trying to build Dane. Was I saying Scott? To that maybe a future title shot. Like I said, the obvious one is him going after the North American Championship.
Yeah, because Kushida right now doesn't have an opponent. Bronson Reed does have one in Santos Escobar, but I might see, just jumping off to the previous topic about the North American title picture, I do see a singles match happening between Bronson Reed and Santos Escobar after their takeover match, because this match has to happen. They've obviously thought it out. Maybe NXT is doing the six-man tag so that they go the obvious route of booking title matches every single week that they have been doing. So we could probably get a Reed versus Escobar on a weekly show, which is no problem to me. I would love to see it. So getting back to the point, Isaiah Scott, which title is he going after? Most probably, as you said, the North American Championship. If not, then the Cruiserweight Championship, not the NXT Championship, because if he's going after Cross, then he's dead. The character is dead, the role is dead, everything is gone. So the North American Championship is the thing. So Reed beats Escobar and Legado del Fantasma in the In Your House match. He beats Escobar in another match on a weekly show. Then Scott faces him for the title. That's the obvious booking that I see down the road.
But let's move on and let's talk about Mercedes Martinez. So I think she was facing some opponent. They didn't even name her because she was attacked by Xia Lee. So they had a little brawl, and this led to, there was questions that whether Mercedes Martinez would continue, and have this match, but she insisted. So referee rang the bell. So it was a quick squash match. Mercedes Martinez win. So I still stand by with my point that I made last week, that why are we having Mercedes Martinez versus Xia Lee on a takeover?
You have a right point here. But as I said, if we would have gotten Lorcan and Theory at a pay-per-view, would you have been disappointed with it? You wouldn't have, because it was such a good match. So I have the same feeling about Xia Lee and Mercedes Martinez in a match. So the story has been booked. They've obviously given it a bit of time, unlike the six-man tag. They had the story last week that Mercedes had beat Xia Lee in the Mae Young Classic. Then they have this rivalry. We have Tia Shah coming in. We have this brawl that happened this week. So they have booked it well, and I hope that they, deliver at NXT Takeover in your house. Then it would be a perfect ending. But who do you see winning this match? I think Xia Lee.
There you go. I think we will, do a special prediction for all the matches for Takeover once the review is done.
Today itself?
Yeah, it's gonna be a quick one. Just wrap it up in just 5 minutes, and we're good to go.
Yeah, I love prediction videos. Yeah, we'll do it in the end.
Yeah, so let's move on. I think this was, you could say, the most entertaining thing that happened on this week's NXT. So it was the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. So he had a $1 million announcement. We know what it was going to be, like the what we have heard from the rumors. So they kind of did a build up for this. Like we had special video packages for LA Knight and Cameron Grimes. So what happened was LA Knight was showing off his big house. He's being treated very well with the ladies, and he showed off his great Mercedes car he had. And also the same thing with Cameron Grimes. He was showing off, his riches, his house, everything. So there's one funny thing that happened with Cameron Grimes' segment, that he was getting massaged by this lady, and he liked this massage so well that he decided, why not I give a massage to this lady itself. Brilliant, man.
Yeah, hilarious segment. LA Knight is far more entertaining than I thought he is. So he's got this incredible charisma, this personality on NXT that I don't think people have. When you build a WWE superstar from scratch, you either have in-ring skills, you either have promo, or you have a Rock. That's simple. You either have athletes or you have the Rock, who's got everything. So personality, I see a lot of it in LA Knight, and his promo, his segment was great. The things that happened in the pool, all of the girls were laughing, and then he says, "Okay, that's enough." So all of that stuff is funny. Cameron Grimes, he tries to drink, he tries to smoke a cigar. Nothing is working for him. He's like a child who hasn't tried anything till date. And then he goes out and all of that stuff. Hilarious segment to build it up. And the announcement was pretty obvious, but still they tried to build it up for us. So that was nice to see.
But yeah, man, all this led to, we having this big announcement. So we had Ted DiBiase in the ring. We had LA Knight and Cameron Grimes making their entrance to the ring. So, so what happened was, so DiBiase was speaking something. So this all led to, we had a huge ladder descending from the CWC, arena. So we had LA Knight and Grimes, individually taking, why they want this $1 million legacy to be passed to themselves. So what happened was Grimes, he was actually climbing the ladder, and he questioned DiBiase. So what is there up on the ceiling that I should reach and use this ladder for? So then DiBiase told someone to bring a briefcase, and we got the answer. It is the $1 million championship. So we already have Cameron Grimes versus LA Knight for Takeover, but now it's going to be a ladder match, and the winner will be getting the $1 million championship. There you go.
So I can maybe say that this is the second most exciting match on the Takeover card, maybe even the most exciting one, because you have the NXT Championship, but the charisma, the personality factor is more in this match. So it would relate to something like this. LA Knight and Cameron Grimes are two kids who are fighting for a chocolate. That's it. Because if you look at the promos, the segments, they don't have a problem with each other. They don't hate each other. When they're in the ring at the same time, they don't start beating up each other. They're fine with it. They're just, pass it to me. No, pass it to me. All of that is going on. So it's going to be a great match. Now that a ladder match took place at Stand and Deliver, which was my favorite match from that entire 2 nights. Jordan Devlin and Santos Escobar. So the match is going to be LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes this time. Both talented athletes. They'll get the time because it's important. They've brought in a new championship, an old championship. So it gives the superstars legitimacy. And we are all predicting and we're seeing news and rumors, and everyone is already decided that LA Knight is going to win. Is he going to win? We'll talk about it in the predictions we do, but it's a great story. I'm really excited to watch that match.
Yeah, man, we have been, wondering where this all was going to lead towards, this whole storyline with Cameron Grimes and Ted DiBiase, originally. Then we saw the involvement of LA Knight. And we could come to a conclusion that these segments have been pretty entertaining.
Absolutely. The story has not bored me for any week. If you talk about, Cameron Grimes getting locked out of the car of the $1 million man, that casino scene, you talk about the buying the house bidding scene. We all remember those scenes, and there's a reason for it. It's been highly entertaining. So I hope this is not the culmination at Takeover in your house, because I wanted to go longer. Maybe with the championship, Ted DiBiase also becomes the manager of the winner. Something like that. Add something to it. I don't want it to end. The segments have been hilarious, but what happens with the title? Do we take it as a proper title on NXT and defend it like the other titles, or is it just one match and then you have the title, you have the legacy, and it's over? So there's a kind of intrigueness to it as well, but it's exciting at the same time.
Yeah, $1 million championship is not going to be, an important championship. Like we've seen in the past that, it only circles around the $1 million man Ted DiBiase in, small storylines.
Yeah, so it is also a small title. If you look at the actual size of the championship, it's not very big. But then you have the AEW women's title, which is like a toy. So you have all of that stuff. So it doesn't matter. If a company is giving its female wrestlers this much long title, then it's okay.
Yeah,
So they didn't.
Yeah, they kind of upgraded that to a bigger title because we have a new champion in Doctor. What's her name? I even forgot. I don't know what I'm talking about, man. But what was the original topic we were discussing about before we got into this AEW discussion?
It was the small title. So it's not going to be defended regularly. It's going to be a one-time, I guess. But I think LA Knight and Cameron Grimes will have a rivalry now. They'll have another match for the title and all of that. So it's going to be highly entertaining, and I don't think I'm going to be bored of it.
By the way, I'm messed up, showing Dr. Britt Baker DMD. So I'm very ashamed of myself. Yeah. So yeah, man. But the one thing, this whole feud is pretty entertaining. One thing is very noticeable is that this is a ladder match. We saw a ladder match in the last takeover. Yeah, and in 2 months we'll be seeing another, ladder gimmick match for Money in the Bank. That's my, problem, you could say, because we've seen a lot of ladder matches for this, pay-per-views, brands, companies. So it could be, a little boring at times.
Okay. So ladder matches are in itself very entertaining. But yeah, that could be the point that they're going to repeat stuff. So this month you have NXT Takeover in your house with that ladder match. But we have Hell in a Cell this month. We don't have Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank is next year. Next month. So we saw normal matches last year at Money in the Bank. We didn't see ladder matches. So it was the corporate building and all of that. So Money in the Bank is going to be exciting, but NXT Takeover having a ladder match, I don't have an issue, because takeover matches generally are simple. If you look at the takeover matches of the past, of the entire pay-per-view, there is the one tag team title match, and all of the matches other than that are singles matches. That's the story of NXT. That's been takeover for a lot of years. So adding these different stipulation matches, different types of matches, it's entertaining, and I think there's a strategy here as well. A fatal 5-way for the world championship of your brand, a ladder match for a old championship coming back. You have all these things happening. So a 6-man tag for 2 championships at the same time. So there's quite an intrigue in all of this. So let's see where it goes.
But yeah, you mentioned tag team. So we had your favorite tag team, the Grizzled young veterans. So they were facing August Gray, and I think I'm going to butcher his name. Have you noted down this his tag team partner's name?
Okay, so let me tell you a short story here. I looked at his face, and the entire match, the commentators were August Gray, August Gray, August Gray. They weren't mentioning the other guy. I think they mentioned him only once. I looked at his face. I went to www.com/superstars. I was going like this, and I said, "Okay, this one. I think, and I might be wrong, but I think it's Kona Reeves."
No, 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 no. It was not Kona Reeves, man. He's the finest. So this was the new recruit, I guess. I think he's mainly working to go file live, like they said on commentary. I think I got his name is I'm sorry if I butchered it. It's Eichmann Giro.
Okay, it might be his name, but and it's suiting him as well. Looking at how he was characterized and all of that stuff, it might be his name. But I think we don't care about the name so much. Let's talk about the story.
So the story of the match was, the new guy's jacket. He was not ready to take off his jacket. So this was, kind of entertaining, you could say. But yeah, it was a short match, but really fun match because we have GYV in here. So GYV won the match with Ticket to Mayhem, and that's it. So, we have GYV wanting a tag title shot for the last couple of weeks. So we would, see Champa and Thatcher coming out. They also said the reason they are not getting a title shot because they have to go through them first. So all this led to, I don't know who it actually was. So we have a tornado tag team match for next week, where you could, settle all this feud, all this beef in one match. And then, you could see the story moving forward with the, one team going after the tag team titles against MSK. So, yeah, I think, having a separate, tag team feud is really good.
Yeah, I absolutely love it because when we see tag team wrestling, it's generally about the championships. If you look at the main roster, sorry, I'm bringing AEW and main roster again and again, but I have to relate to it. So if you look at the main roster, they have only tag team championship matches. That too terrible on Raw, and now SmackDown has obviously gotten really really good at tag team division. But coming to NXT, tag team wrestling has always been a good thing for seeing us. Why do you show this?
I was mentioning they got 4 tag teams.
Yeah, they got 4 tag teams. So talking about NXT, I love a non-title wrestling feud. So it's always entertaining to see because what are they fighting for? That's the intrigue behind it, right? It could be a personal rivalry like it was for Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. It could be something else like this, GYV and Ciampa and Thatcher. Amazing 4 wrestlers, professional match style wrestling, which I obviously love. And next week is going to be an incredible match. Tornado tags are always entertaining because it's so fast paced and it's going to be a brilliant match. But obvious NXT booking, one team wins. Next week they face the champions. So I don't think it's going to be any other takeover after In Your House. They want the crowds to return for the next takeover. So they'll go in with the regular title matches that they do every single week.
Yeah.
But GYV needs to win for me.
And yeah, like we don't even have a takeover for SummerSlam weekend because SummerSlam is happening on a Saturday.
Yeah, so SummerSlam, the way they've rumored and the news, if you read, they've built it as this year's WrestleMania. They want it to be grand, and they're bringing in 65,000 plus people for SummerSlam. So I'm extremely excited for the crowds to return because till we get to SummerSlam, we've already experienced a month or two of the crowds already there in the arenas. So then going into a more big stadium, the Allegiant Stadium, it's going to be awesome. But crowds for NXT is also something I want to see because that's what we cover here. So NXT needs crowds. They're bringing in 400 people, which is enough, I feel, because in a small place like Full Sail or the Performance Center, the voice echoes so much that feels highly, noisy and it feels good. So that's nice to see when the crowds return.
So moving on, we had Poppy. So, I think throughout the night we had, Candice LeRae, talking about how she hates Poppy. I think she also had a backstage segment, And can you talk about what was the new deal with Indy Hartwell, and what did she say regarding Dexter Loomis?
NXT is great, man. They're building these comedy and love stories so well. So Poppy is backstage with William Regal and Triple H. So they're obviously releasing the NXT theme song, which is Say Cheese, on Spotify and Apple Music. Listen to it, guys. And so they release the music, and Triple H is all shocked. Oh, you're going to just press this button and it's going to release? It's going to release on all platforms. He's just advertising it somewhere. So she presses the button, it's released now. So they're all there, and here comes Dexter Loomis. He says hello to Poppy and hugs Poppy. Indy Hartwell, Dexter, I wanted to meet. And she's so she's shocked to see Dexter Loomis hug Poppy, and she's all crying and she's gone away. And Dexter Loomis, man, it takes a lot of effort to not laugh in these kind of situations. Randy Orton, Dexter Loomis, all these superstars, it takes, it's brave to not laugh in such a situation. You don't have retakes, it's live TV. So that situation was there, and then Candice LeRae comes alone to the ring, and then happened the favorite moment of the show for me, and let's just talk about it.
So we had an in-ring segment. So we had Candice LeRae coming out, and she was this time talking about how Poppy was she what's the word I'm looking for? She was actually shitting on Poppy for knowing that Dexter and Indy are in a relationship, but Poppy is trying to be the thorn in their side. So she was actually calling out Poppy. Here comes Poppy. I think she said something of the lines of, she's not a wrestler, but she knows someone. That is, we get Io Shirai. It's the return of Io Shirai. So, for you could see in the last year or so that Poppy and Io Shirai have been buddies, because we have seen a entrance, you could say, that Poppy has been part of Io Shirai's entrance in the past. So Io Shirai comes out, beats up Candice LeRae, and that's basically it. You could Anything you want to add regarding this whole situation?
I do, because the moment Poppy came out and said that I am not a wrestler, but I know someone who is, I was like, okay, who is it? Who is it? And I got goosebumps with Io Shirai Return, because the theme song that she has, Tokyo Shock, is perhaps my favorite theme song of WWE. So when she came out, it was really nice to see. She is returned now. She's back on NXT. What is she going to do? I don't know. Do we get a women's tag team championship match between the Way and Io Shirai and Poppy in a team? Do we see another pop artist debut? Do we see all of that? So obviously that's not going to happen. But what is Io Shirai going to do? We were all ready to see her on Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown, but this has added some intrigue to the situation. What is she going to do now? So let's see what happens, because when she went backstage, she also had an interaction with Raquel Gonzalez again, her opponent at Stand and Deliver. So it's all hodgepodge here, so we don't know what's going to happen, but grand return for Io Shirai, really happy to see her.
So you were talking about, maybe Poppy and Io Shirai being a tag team, at least Poppy coming out for a one-off match. But I was wondering, Io Shirai has kind of been, thrusted into the tag team, women's tag team scene. They also, have a potential rematch they could do. But I was thinking about, if Io Shirai is going to be in a tag team, why not, pair her up with Saray? We have been talking about in the past that Saray needs something, a bit more other than the in-ring work. Why not pair her up with Io Shirai, and at least in that way, she could, Io Shirai could be some influence, and she could, you get my point, right? That she could rub off some of that, star power from Io Shirai.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you a short story. I do some fantasy booking and all of that. I write stuff. So in my scenario of the women's tag team championships of WWE, I have a team of Io Shirai and Saray. I named them some Shirai or something, but do have them as a team. So instantly, when you see Shirai and Saray in the ring, you feel like, okay, I can get down with this. I feel this is a team. I can accept this. So yeah, that would be a great scenario, because now Zeta Ramir and Zoe Stark are a team. They've showed us last week. We have Shotzi Blackheart, who's officially injured. So Ember Moon doesn't have an opponent. She's officially injured. It's not news or rumors. So now you need another team. So SHIRAI doesn't have random challenges now. She doesn't have local athletes to beat. So putting her with Io Shirai would be a great thing, because now with Io Shirai's return to NXT, I don't think she's going to the main roster this early as we were predicting. I think Triple H wants her to stay longer.
But yeah, man. So you mentioned that Poppy and Yoshira had kind of a interaction with the champion Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. So next up we had Dakota Kai facing Ember Moon. So what did you think about this match? I think I kind of skipped it.
Yeah, it wasn't any super filled match with spots or anything. It was decent, okay-ish. So it didn't make me really excited for their match, Embers and Raquel's match at Takeover. What happened after the match made me excited. The eclipse to Raquel twice, once the counter and then the proper one. That made me excited. That made me hyped. But the entire match, I don't think it led to anything. But it had to happen, right? You have to have a build up. So I don't have a problem with the way they booked it. The match wasn't good, but you had to have that because Raquel has an obvious partner right now. Ember doesn't. So how do you build up to the match? You put Ember in a match with a tag team partner to build it up. So it was good. And they protected Dakota as well, not giving her the loss here. So that is leading to something we've talked about it weeks and weeks. When is Dakota turning or when is Raquel turning? So that could also, Raquel won't turn. The obvious would be Dakota is turning. So when is it going to happen? I don't see anything happening. But since they protected her without giving her a loss, it is coming.
Yeah, the only positive you could say is that they finally protected Dakota Kai, because in most cases they would have had Dakota Kai taking the pin here.
Yeah, they protected her, and this is obviously leading to that one thing that we are waiting to see: Dakota Kai turn on Raquel Gonzalez. It's not leading to anything else. So it's kind of good because it was really subtle. It's good that both of us noticed that she was protected, but it was really subtle that, okay, because Ember Moon attacked Raquel outside the ring, Raquel comes in and causes the disqualification. So their main focus was for us to look at this, that the champion didn't want herself to be dominated. She came in and took out her challenger and all of that stuff, but in a subtle way, they told us that, guys, it's happening.
But yeah, man. But let's quickly move into the final segment. So they had Karrion Kross, having a face-off with the Fatal 5-way match participants. So we had Karrion Kross, William Regal, I think in the ring. So they were having the same argument that they had in the past. Like Kross was saying that Regal doesn't run NXT, that he does, and he wanted to have a face off so that he could beat each and every one of them. So we slowly saw the participants slowly coming out. First we had Kyle O'Reilly, then we had Johnny Gargano, and then Pete Dunne. And by the way, they are still going into the route of saying that, telling us, the audience, that Karrion Kross is not that special, he's not that great in the ring. So we also had Adam Cole. So he was actually on the screens, and he also reminded us that how quote unquote verbally buried Karrion Kross last week. So this all led to your typical brawl. Everyone was trying to take down Karrion Kross, but Karrion Kross was just being a monster here, suplexing everyone, including the security team. So Karrion Kross was standing tall, but finally here comes Adam Cole from the back and takes him down with a bunch of super kicks and the last shot. So the final scene of this week's the go home show for Takeover was Adam Cole standing tall and holding the NXT championship. So there you go, man.
Hopefully, that's the scene that I see at the end of Takeover in your house. Hopefully, fingers crossed, but I want that to happen. So, talking about the entire scenario, it felt like a kind of a hide and seek. So, nobody came out with an entrance theme, nobody came out with the music or something. Johnny Gargano came out backstage from the commentator's side. Kyle O'Reilly came in from the entrance way. Pete Dunne was hiding behind the barricades. So all of this was happening. Adam Cole had that again great promo from the screen, but it's been 2 weeks and I don't know how, but Adam Cole is making me more interested in it. He's making me feel like he's the superstar of NXT, and instantly I've liked him since 2 weeks. I have this feeling that every superstar that comes from the Indies is a schmuck. Shout out to Mr. Tony Khan. So I have a feeling that the superstars don't fight really well, but Adam Cole has made me so good, such a big fan of himself. And this face-off wasn't that good. The brawl was really nice to see because four superstars plus all these security guards. It was so many people fighting, and then suplexes and all of that. Adam Cole stands tall. I hope that's the end of Takeover in your house as well. Now let's get to the damn predictions.
So do you have the crowd in the card? I'm saying crowd. I'm messing up very bad, for this week. But yeah, man, do you have the card in front of you?
I have. I don't have the card, but there are only 5 matches that have been announced.
Okay, then. So I think let's start from Mercedes Martinez versus Xia Lee. Who you got?
I think Xia Lee is winning. I want Xia Lee to
win. Mercedes Martinez, if they want to push Xia Lee, then Mercedes Martinez taking the L would hurt, because you could technically call Mercedes Martinez the gatekeeper of that women's division.
But you have a young star here at Xia Lee's opening. So Xia Lee, I think, deserves this win, needs this win. After all the demonic crap and all of that hype, it would mean nothing if she loses fair and square. If you end it in a DQ, that's another thing. But we predict the matches in a way that all of the matches are ending fairly. That's what predictions are. So if it's ending fairly, then I think and want Xia Lee to win.
I'm also going with Xia Lee. And by the way, I think we see a bit more. I think see a bit more from who's the partner she has, Tia Shah. Yeah, so yeah, that's go on.
That could happen. That could happen because the characters have been built really well. So as I said, you don't have a demonic character on NXT. You have Karrion Kross, who's human. He's not a demon character. So this character needs to work more. As I said last week as well, you need a good character, but you need promos. You need in-ring work. Only how screaming and all of that won't make me interested in watching you. So as I said again, Xia Lee needs this win.
But yeah, so let's talk about the 6-man, the winner take all situation. We have the NXT tag titles and North American title being defended in the same match. So we have Legado del Fantasma facing Bronson Reed and MSK. Obvious choice. We have to go with the champions retaining, MSK and Reed.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no question about it, because there is no chance of titles changing hands here, because Bronson Reed has just won the championship. You don't want him losing the titles. So if you don't want Bronson Reed to lose the titles, it's obvious that MSK also won't lose. So yeah, in that sense, I don't see a title change here. It's going to be MSK and Bronson Reed.
So let's move on. Let's talk about the $1 million championship ladder match. We have Cameron Grimes versus LA Knight. What you got?
Oh, this is a tough one because it's an entertaining match to see. It will be really, really good. But who needs it? I think Cameron Grimes needs it, because LA Knight has been portrayed as the stronger one in this rivalry. More TV time, more entertainment and all of that stuff. He's obviously the one with better mic skills and all of that charisma and potential to do well. Needs it, Cameron Grimes. I think LA Knight is going to win. And I want LA Knight to win as well.
I think I'm going with Cameron Grimes, because this whole thing started with him and Ted DiBiase, having that bit of, argument. And if you want a closure for this side of the story, then yeah, you could have Cameron Grimes, being the $1 million champion, while because he's at the end of the day the quote unquote millionaire. So why not give him the championship?
Yeah, there's no problem in it, but LA Knight is also in the storyline. But now that you say, LA Knight could be in the storyline just to take the loss. because how did it all start? It started only with Cameron Grimes and Ted DiBiase. So maybe you could have started with LA Knight. Then probably we would have known that he's the main guy. But Cameron Grimes was the main guy in the storyline. So you needed someone with big character, big move set, big in-ring skills to make us believe that maybe he's winning the title. So now that I think about it, Cameron Grimes could be winning the match, but I'll stick to LA Knight winning the title.
But shall we move on for the women's championship match, the NXT women's championship match? We have Raquel Gonzalez defending her title against Ember Moon. This is also an obvious one because Raquel was left laying on the go home edition. So yeah, Raquel is defending her successfully defending her title, and like I said last week, beating someone like a top star, you could say, in Ember Moon could really be a plus in her title reign so far.
Yeah, absolutely. But now that Raquel is obviously winning this match, where is Ember Moon going? Do we see another rematch next week or the week after? Because Shotzi Blackheart, as we said, is officially injured. So she cannot be in a tag team right now, Ember Moon. And Ember Moon skipping and going to another partner like Io Shirai would be really stupid, would mean nothing because she has a partner. So she's obviously a single star for the next how many ever months that Shotzi is not there. So there could be a rematch for the title as well, but we are talking predictions here, and there's no obvious choice but Raquel Gonzalez.
And finally, let's get into the main event for the NXT Championship, the Fatal 5-Way. We have Karrion Kross going against. We have Kyle O'Reilly. We have Pete Dunne, Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano. Is there someone else that I'm missing?
No.
So who do you got? Because this is kind of an unpredictable situation, at least if you want to pick two guys from this whole group.
Okay, so considering the other matches, it is because the other matches are kind of predictable. Six-man tag, predictable. NXT Women's Title match, predictable. LA Knight, Cameron Grimes, not so much. And the Series one is not so interesting. So this match, talking about this one, if you could pick two names who are obviously not winning and who are taking the pinfall, Pete Dunne and Johnny Gargano. They are not winning the championship here. So Pete Dunne, because he's not been given so much storyline in the past few weeks. Johnny Gargano, because he's just lost the title. And even in these two, if you would ask me who's taking the pin, I would say Pete Dunne. So in that sense, these two guys are out of the scenario. Cross retaining is a possibility because we are all predicting that he's going to lose. But it's Karrion Kross. Is he going to lose the title so early? Because there's two scenarios here. He could be winning the championship and proving that no one in NXT is better than me. It totally destroys everyone. He's already done it to Balor twice. He does this to these four other guys, then there's no one left for him. Then he surrenders the NXT championship and goes to main roster. You would do that as well. There's no issue in that. He probably says that he doesn't have any competition on NXT. He gives away the title and he leaves for the main roster. That could also happen. But if you're changing the championship's hands, if you're crowning a new champion, you have Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, the two options who could win. And most likely, the most obvious option after these 2 weeks is Adam Cole Bebe, who's winning the NXT championship at Takeover in your house. That's what I think, and that's what I want. Adam Cole for me.
I also want Adam Cole. Like you said, guy has been, with his promos as of late, been really interesting and made a lot of us in the community, think that a second NXT title reign would be bad for Adam Cole.
Yeah, because if you look at the NXT champions, the only two superstars who are two-time NXT champions, I think it's Balor and Nakamura.
It's Joe, Balor, and Nakamura.
Okay, so three superstars. So adding Adam Cole to that list of champions would be amazing. Two-time NXT champion. He has already had a phenomenal reign in 403 days, if I'm precise. So you could have another title reign with Adam Cole. He's not going anywhere. He's probably the most favorite superstar of Triple H right now on NXT. He wants to keep him in the men's division right now. So I don't know. I wouldn't want to see Kross retain again. I think it's the best way to bring Kross to the main roster. It's either you give him the win he vacates the title and comes to the main roster because he sees no competition worthy of facing him. That would kind of I would accept it. I wouldn't have a problem with it. Or he lose because if he loses the title, then he's not coming to the main roster. He's probably wanting a rematch to prove one on one that he's better. So that could be an option there. But looking at the promos and Suprit, we've seen always that the guy who's been built up the entire weeks as the one who's going to win never really wins. So the prime example would be Lesnar and Reigns. Roman Reigns always dominated the rivalry in the weeks, and you come to the match, Lesnar squashes Roman Reigns. So it's obviously that scenario. So it's quite a intriguing scenario in the NXT Championship picture. But as I said, I'm not changing my pick. Adam Cole, baby, for me.
And this is the easiest way, like we said last week, that to get the title of Cross, like if he even retains, then that's a problem. That how would you come up with new challengers, and how will you get the title of Cross? So this is your chance. Get the title of Cross. He doesn't have to take the pin, so he can easily go to the main roster, and you could go back to the typical NXT formula, having a good worker as your NXT champion, and then you could go move forward.
The booking I would like to see, now that I think about it, now that we've chatted about this one match for so long, the booking that I would like to see is Karrion Kross retaining the championship. Just listen to me. Karrion Kross retaining the championship. Adam Cole being shown as the toughest out of the five. Adam Cole in the end has destroyed all the three. Pete Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, Gargano are out of the winning position. Adam Cole is standing tall and Kross beats Cole. So at the end of this, if Kross needs a challenger after this, he has taken out five of the best of NXT. Balor and the other four. So now who's going to challenge? The strongest who was in the Fatal 5-Way, which is Adam Cole. You could have that match, but it's not a very pretty scenario to watch. This is probably the best way to take out Kross of the scenario because this match is not a Triple H booking. I don't see a lot of Triple H in this. He wouldn't put his top stars, all of them in one match. This is Vince McMahon. This is Vince McMahon in a booking. So if Vince wants Kross so bad, then he's probably forced Triple H to have this match. So Adam Cole could be winning, or it could be an amazing shocker that Kyle O'Reilly lives his dream and wins the title.
By the way, we are speaking about going to the main roster. So there have been reports that they did a big, you could say, tryout to see which are the best guys and girls that they can bring at once to the main roster. So Karrion Kross could be the obvious choice. We also talked about Adam Cole.
Yeah, because talking about the people on the main roster, as we saw a picture on Instagram came out and it was spread all across that SmackDown has the thinnest roster right now. And ability of Paul Heyman and all those people backstage who are writing the shows that they pull out incredible shows every single week with the thinnest roster. That's their work behind the scenes. But they have the thinnest roster. They need people. And there have also been reports that Vince McMahon has sent people to the PC to practice because when they begin the live events, they don't want the botches that are happening in the Thunderdome or anything. If you have a repeat telecast, you can still edit it out. But it's live television. Everyone is watching. So he wants the superstars who are already there on the main roster to be better. He wants talents to come up from NXT. So Karrion Kross could be the one. Adam Cole, I don't think he's coming. So Karrion Kross is the obvious option. And speaking about it, I'm getting a bit hyped for an In Your House takeover this Sunday.
There you go, man. That was our predictions. And the one thing I wanted to say about this Go Home show is that you could see many storylines being already, planned out for post takeover. Like we saw with the, the opening match with the Garganos and the Duns and the O'Reilly. You could also talk about O'Reilly. They also have, a one match announced for, next week's NXT is that tornado tag match. So that's something that we could really appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely. Long-term booking is always advisable. And for a man that I was talking about, long-term booking, being attacked by Seth Rollins, he got his eye, fractured, then he returned, and now you probably have talked about it with Ridwan. So let's talk about what could happen now. So there's a chance that they're doing this long-term booking for the crowds. As I said, you want to hype each and every show leading up to the day the crowds return, so that they're so excited that you have an amazing show. And when the crowds return, I promise you, the first shows, the first Raw, first SmackDown, first NXT, and first pay-per-view, the crowds will control it. You don't need to have the best card. You don't need to have the best matches. The crowd will entertain the show, and they'll have a amazing 3 hours. So you need a good show, and the things they're planning for the future, NXT having title matches every week, these things are interesting, and they also make for good reviews, which you and I are talking about. So yeah, good review today, because I think it went longer than we do usually, which means we talked in more detail, and probably your viewers liked it.
So there you go, man. And before we leave, where can these guys find you?
Yeah, so guys, I'm doing a YouTube channel called Ghar Baithe BC. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. I did a phenomenal episode of my talk show right now with a doctor, Dr. Ananta Patnaik. That's crossed 400 views, so you can watch that as well. Great episode. Also, follow Slamhub Wrestling on any platform that he's on, which he'll obviously tell you right now. So let's just go ahead and support content creators.
You can find Slamhub Wrestling on Twitter at SlamHubW, Instagram at SlamHub Wrestling, and you can catch this review in the audio versions on Spotify, on Anchor. So you do that, and we'll see you guys next time.